yo, walk by faith, fear not by sight. Cause what we do in the dark will soon come to the light. And if we living without Christ, hey yo, that ain't right. Cause what the world is trying to tell us is engulfed in shady politics. Now I'm really sick of this. Ignorance and bliss is an excuse for us to act like Jesus don't exist. We walk around in our bubbles, avoiding trouble, thinking worse is going to double. That's the thing that's going to grant us grace. But it's by faith alone. There ain't a thing on this planet that we can do that's going to take us to a home in heaven. It's by his blessing and his sacrificial measure that we even have a chance to see this treasure stored in heaven. But first we must accept him, not reject him in our heart. That's where it starts. So that our spirit is receptive, but the flesh is still deceptive, convincing us that his light is just perspective. So check the resurrection.
Won't be a slave to the pain no more. Won't be a slave to the pain. Won't be a slave to the pain no more. Won't be a slave to the pain. Won't be a slave to the pain no more. Won't be a slave to the pain. Won't be a slave to the pain no more. Won't be a slave to the pain. And he says, open your eyes to me, and the truth will set you free. He says, open your eyes to me, and the truth will set you free.
It's like butter, baby. There ain't no ifs, ands, or maybe. It's crazy how the blood of Christ, it covers us like gravy. He's the number one blood spiller. But instead of praising him, we giving glory to the thugs and the killers. Praising money over God, ain't that odd? That's what we do. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. We're driven by the flesh is weak. That's why we seek to find the favor of our Savior. What could be greater than the living sacrifice that saved our life? Jesus Christ, even though we weren't deserving, he did it because he loved us. So now it's time for us to grow a little wiser in our walk, a little smarter in our talk. We open up our hearts to let his light shine in, and in the end we can rest in the comfort that we're forgiven of our sins. So walk by faith and not by sight, cause it's the shining, y'all. Cause it's the shining, y'all. Check it.
Help me understand how you're phenomenal. Help me understand. Help me understand how you're phenomenal. Help me understand.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. How are y'all doing out there? That's right. This is your man Orlando, aka Joe. That's right. We got Captain J, Jason, and his lovely wife Judy on the line with us. We're about to chop it up. This is the real gospel talk. How are y'all doing today?
Bless, thank you.
Good. Short and sweet.
Oh, man. Short and sweet. Look at that, boy. Just like Judy. Short and sweet. But all right, ladies and gentlemen. Just to let y'all know who the intro song was, that was Idioms, The Prophecy with The Shining. So make sure y'all go check that out. Make sure you run those numbers up. Make sure you go ahead and buy a couple of copies for yourself and for your family. Most definitely. Man, I'm excited for the guest that we have on today. We changed the dates. Usually we're on Saturday, but we had to change it to Sunday just for today. So I'm excited for the artist that we have on today. I've heard of this artist plenty of times, and also I've heard this artist's music plenty of times as well. Also, I believe the first time I heard this artist was from the Devout Jamcast from DJ Iceberg 365. She plays his music quite a bit. So when was one of the first times that you heard his music, Jason?
The first time, I think it was about 6 years ago when we had our first show. We were in Quake Radio kind of funny. We were looking to have do an event, and Erik had basically put out one of those Facebook ads and said, you can come out to your city and do a show, basically a free of charge concept, love offering. We had started, we didn't have a budget, so I'm like, well, we could do free. I mean, that's going to pull together what's needed. And I'm like, so let's see what this guy is, what it's about. And I was like, I listened, I'm like, oh, this is nerd stuff, and geek. And I'm like, oh, okay, I like this stuff. And that was the first time about 6 years ago, probably spring of whatever 6 years ago was. 16, spring of 16. So that's the first time I ever heard of was Geek.
All right. Well, fantastic. Well, let's not have him waiting in the back room, in the green room, eating up all the jelly beans. So let's bring on out to Erik Stevens. How you doing, bro?
Good. How are you doing today?
All right. Fantastic, man. Yeah, Jason, Judy, say hello to our guest. Don't be rude.
Hello.
Hey, guys. Hey, guys.
Good, how are you?
Oh, man. Yeah, Erik, I mean, we were just sitting here reminiscing a little bit about, how we started hearing your music, started hearing about you. Like I said, I think I heard about you through DJ Iceberg 365 because she plays your music quite a bit on the Devout Jam cast, excuse me. And I was like, okay, let me go ahead and get myself, hip with who this is. And, Jason knows you a whole lot longer than I do. And, Jason's an old head in the game. No, I'm joking.
Right.
But, but yeah. But, yeah, let the folks know, who you are and where do you reside?
My name is Erik Stephen. I am from Phoenix, Arizona. It is very, very hot right now. So, yeah, in the high triple digits there. And about a little bit before I met Jason, I guess. So I guess in the spring of 2015, a little bit before that, my wife and I felt like God was telling us to go. And so we ended up selling everything. And in the spring of 2015, we just hit the road. And we just started touring around the country full time, just sharing the gospel through hip hop and trying to connect with people and, let them know that the God of the universe, their creator, loves them. And so, and we just wanted to reach people and teach people that they too should be walking in faith, that our God is so powerful and he can do anything and there is nothing that is impossible for him and that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. So that was my message, just going out there and doing this, trying to bring hope to people. And so we were doing that for a little bit over a year, and then my wife became pregnant with our first son, and everyone was like, "Oh, so you're going to stop touring?" And we're like, "Nope." And we kept touring. We had Grayson, and so Grayson was on the road, and then we were doing that for many years. And then last year, my wife became pregnant with our second son, and right now we're just taking some time off and enjoying the family.
Amen. Now, isn't it awesome to have a helpmate, a person there with you that, believes in God, first and foremost, believes in God so much that they believe in the God that's within you, that everything will be okay and y'all can just jump on the road and do that?
Yeah, I'm definitely very, very blessed that my wife is Christ-centered and kingdom-minded. I'm very, very blessed in that. So.
Amen. Well, Jason, Judy, if you all have questions, I'll give the floor over to you.
Well, once again, thank you, Erik, for joining us kind of on a short notice there and working us into the schedule. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Basically, I've got one question. Just I know with traveling, you were doing a lot of, you were not working, you were on ministry. What kind of stuff do you do currently to help keep, I say food on the table kind of thing, and recording and that kind of stuff. And now you're not touring right now. What else do you do in free time per se? In touring time.
Well, that wouldn't be my free time if I was working, right? On my free time, I'm playing with my kids. So on my non-free time, just doing gig work like, DoorDash, Instacart, stuff like that, food delivery. So the money is good, and the hours are flexible, and it helps me be home and focus on my family, and helps me write music, helps me get into the studio, helps me help my church out, our community, and just be able to do those things. So very grateful for that.
I got another question here. I kind of put in like a good news, bad news thing. Like when you were touring, what is like in the touring time frame best highlights you had, and then what is one of the worst highlights you had, or low lights, I guess you would call it at that point?
Okay. Well, I can tell you right off the bat, the worst show I ever did was in this town called Galesburg, Illinois. And just kidding.
Which one? There's like 6 of them.
I'm sorry. I misspoke. It's the worst shows I've ever done. Worst shows. No, okay. The worst shows with an S. No, actually I think my favorite highlight. This is one I just go to all the time because it just shows how amazing it was. I was actually doing a show with DJ Iceberg 365. We were going to her town, but we were in Montana, and she was in Minnesota, and so we were in Montana, and we did a show, and we didn't have any money to get to where she was at to do her show, and I just, I was like, okay, we're having a show tonight. God's gonna make it rain, money. It didn't even sprinkle money that night. We didn't get in hardly any donations. So we're like, okay, whatever. He'll still take care of us. And then that night, we were at a host home, and someone from the show stopped by to make a donation. And then the next morning, someone did that also. And so we had enough for food and gas to get to South Dakota. And then in South Dakota, we got there and we're like, what are we going to do? And we prayed. And right then, an online donation came in. And so that they gave us enough food and gas to get to Minnesota the next day. So we get to Minnesota, and I'm talking to Iceberg, and I'm telling her, it's like, hey, no matter what happens tomorrow, whether the show has 100 people or 0 people, we're just going to do our show, and we're just going to praise God because He wanted us here for a reason. And this was supposed to be a 3-hour show in the park. It was going to be, we were going to go back and forth, like I'd do a set, then she would do a set, and back and forth. And so we go to the park to set up. We go to do this, and it was not the 100 people that showed up. It was the 0 people that showed up. So we still did it. Like literally, there was nobody. There was me, my wife, Iceberg 365, and her parents, and that was there. And so we did the show, and 2.5 hours later, 6 neighborhood kids came by. Finally, they came by, 4 boys and 2 girls, and the boys were just doing their own thing, but the girls were listening. They were sitting there, and I got to this one part of my set where I was talking about how I used to be bullied in school, and this one girl starts telling me that she was bullied in school, and that she's bullied every single day. So I was able to stop the show and just talk to her, and I got to share Christ with her, and she had never heard that there was a God that loved her before. She lives in a small town. There's these churches everywhere, and she didn't know that there was a God that loved her. And I thought that was crazy that He sent someone, a Christian rapper from Phoenix, Arizona, through Montana, through South Dakota to Minnesota, just to share that with her, And I was like, and then she danced her heart out the rest of the evening. And I don't know what she's done with that since then, but I do know that she now knows. And I was just amazed by that he did that. You hear all these stories about the 99, and he leaves the 99 to go after the one, and I got to witness that firsthand. And so I thought that was amazing.
Amen.
Yeah. Worst shows. Oh my gosh, man. Jason, Hilberg. No, but if the moment I say something, that person is just going to be happening to listening to this today. So I'll try to make it as vague as possible.
No names. No names.
No names. Okay. So I won't talk about Pastor Bob or anything like that. But no. But we did this one show. It was at a mega church, and it was like we get there and it's amazing looking. It's this huge church, and we're doing the love offering, and like the pastor wasn't able to make time for us at all, and it was like, okay, whatever. But then at the end of the night, when I'm talking to people and everything, he walks up to me and he drops $8 on the table and says, there's your love offering. And he walked away. And I was like, I was so shocked. And not that because we're at this mega church and it needs to, I'm not thinking we're going to get thousands and thousands of dollars or anything, but it's like we came and you invited us to minister at your congregation, and it's like I just, pay a worker what he's worth, and it's like you're telling me that it's $8. I'm only worth $8, and because of that, we had to change our travel plans, and we couldn't afford to go get a hotel. We couldn't afford to get a hotel, so luckily we had a tent, and there was a KOA nearby, so we were able to. We had enough to be at KOA for a few days, but that was, quite extraordinary.
Wow.
Just the lack of generosity that in some of the places that we've been to. So.
Yeah. We hope that we haven't been that person.
No, you guys have not been. You guys have not been that. No.
Mm-hmm. And so we don't. I know we never do the hundreds or thousands of dollars, but it's what we can get and make sure that you at least get enough to get to the next place, or every artist in that aspect. Get to the next place because that's what's needed, And but it's $8. It's almost better to get nothing than it was to get $8.
Oh, exactly.
And it's almost insulting in that aspect.
Real quick question to follow up on that. Have you heard back from that church again after that?
No, I have not.
Oh, okay.
No, we. Yeah. And I have not contacted them either. So.
Okay.
So you got anything, Judy?
No, not right now.
Okay. I'll hand it back over to Orlando.
All right, fantastic. All right, man. So hello.
Hello.
Oh, okay. I was getting some major feedback from somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
But so how long have you been doing gospel ministry, and how long have you been on the road traveling with your family?
Oh, I've been rapping for a long time. I started learning how to rap when I was in junior high, I guess. That was just what I grew up around, so I just started writing my own raps then. And then after high school, I got saved, and so then I was like, still fighting God on it. That I was like, okay, I'll talk about you, but the music's mine. And then that's not how he works. I'm like, you can have everything, but the music's mine. He's like, no, that's not how this works here. So I finally gave it over to him and just started making music here and there. And then I started, like I said, we started touring at the beginning of 2015. And seriously, it was almost full time. We'd be gone from Arizona 7 or 8 months out of the year, and that was going completely strong until 2020 happened. And then obviously 2020 happened, and then we had to slow down. We couldn't do as much as we were hoping to do. And then 2021, we were just kind of tired, burnt out a little bit. And then my wife, like we said, was pregnant with our second child. My son was missing his grandparents, so we're just taking some time off now and like hanging out,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So what are some of the I guess some of the things that you've encountered being a family ministry out on the road pretty much full time? What are some of the things that you've encountered out on the road, good or bad?
Like what do you mean by encountered? Like,
I mean, as far as
possums or something, or
say that again.
like possums or something. No,
I'm talking about, encounter different situations, different things that may have happened that, you had to learn from when you first started hitting the road to the point where you're more so, I guess you would call you're a veteran, with traveling on the road now. What are some of the things that you had to learn from the first time being out on the road?
Okay. Well, being in a new town every other day or so sounds fun at first, but then you realize how tiring that is. You gotta load up the car, drive, unload the car, perform, load up the car, drive, stuff like that. So we started becoming centrally located in places. So we would set up shop in, Missouri, and then all of my shows would be within a 6-hour driving distance of there for a few months. So we'd be in Missouri for a few months. Then we move on to Indiana and stuff like that.
Okay.
Because it just became better to just be planted somewhere, then we could attend a church service. We could, meet people, make friends. And so it just became easier to do it that way, to still do what we were doing, but just not having to drive everywhere all the time.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I can totally understand that. So when do you and your wife sit down and start organizing your ministry for the next year? Start planning out, the places you're going to visit, things of that nature. When do y'all start organizing that out?
Well, we would start normally praying about it around December-ish, January. And then I would start sending out, feelers and everything. Start seeing where, if there would be any bites or anything like that, if anybody was interested. And then we would just start building it around that.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. Fantastic. One thing we do have, let me see here. Have to pull it up here. We do have your latest single, and I did want to get into that with you a little bit. Is I know you've done a couple of tracks with K-Drama. How did that relationship come about?
I met K-Drama at this thing called The Objective down in Tennessee. It's for it's a Christian music conference type thing. I met him there in 2014. It was weird because like I knew who K-Drama was, but I was at this one, I guess, a seminar or something, and they said, hey, it's going to be a minute, so everybody stand up and greet everybody around you. So I stood up, and sitting right behind me was K-Drama, and I was like, you're K-Drama? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, talked to him a little bit, and then we just stayed in contact ever since. And so like I've worked with him on, he's been guest vocal on so many tracks for me, and I've been blessed to be able to get beats from him, track production from him for the last few songs. And so, yeah.
Okay. So did you get the track from him for I Am Erik Stephen?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Let's know a little bit about that track. I mean, even though it's kind of, well, not really self-explanatory, but your latest track that you have out, I believe you released it back in May, somewhere around that time, but it's called I Am Erik Stephen. Let the folks know a little bit about that, and then we'll jump into it.
Well, first off, it's called I Am Erik Stephen. It's not Stevens, it's Stephen. So,
sorry.
Yeah. And that song is my life, I guess. It's everything that I believe, and like stuff that my family has been through, and then it's just like I'm here, I'm doing what I'm gonna do, and I'm changing people's lives by what I'm doing because of who has sent me out. So.
All right, cool.
That's what that is. Yeah.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here you go. I Am Erik Stephen. Let's go.
You can take me, you can leave me, you can hate me or receive me. Embracing or competing doesn't change how he perceives me. Squeezing every lemon, same dream, a different lesson. The pain can be like a brain-free 7-Eleven. Question my intentions, every move and direction. They dangled that mangled carrot until my wallet was barren. Not caring if I perished or any tear in my marriage, but the pairing of Michelle and Erik, strong in the red herring. I'm not sharing in your pay-to-plays, I'd rather waste away. Rather play in the fountain, grab the change and make it rain. I'd rather pay in the cage away, just stay at my place. I'd rather slay the great faith on the USA train. So why you sleeping? I'll be leaping in the deep end. I press for the kingdom, and there's rest when the weekend. I stopped forcing open doors and hoping he peeks, and I'm no longer testing ya, so I'm pulling the fleece in. I'm Erik Stephen, and I never leave it. Keep beating on my chest, left screaming till you see me with your beady little lies. Keep feeding me little lies, seeing them dollar signs is leaving your soul blind. I'm Erik Stephen, and I never leave it. Keep beating on my chest, left screaming till you see me with your beady little lies. Keep feeding me little lies, seeing them dollar signs is leaving your soul blind. I'm tired of us indie artists being treated like we're mini markets, like we're only worth it if we come from Target. In reality, it's us who work the hardest. In a sea of mansions, it's not in fashion to be apartment. Outsmarted by an artist from the bargain bin. Pardon the part of this that isn't bipartisan, but if you're honest in your jargon about the heart of men, then profit artisans are non-profit and marketing. I could water it down so it drowns and builds my numbers, paint in pretty colors, or be generic like Dr. Thunder, or coddle with an awful gospel, topple the others. That logic's rotten, I'd be robbing you like I'm a boy wonder. I can switch switch off my mic, but I can't switch off my light. So I'll be a king and priest forever because of Christ. I can switch off my mic, but I can't switch off my light. So I'll be a king and priest forever because of Christ. Let's go. I'm Erik Stephen, and I ain't never leaving. Keep beating on my chest, left screaming till you see me with your beady little lies. Keep feeding me little lies until the day that I die. I'm on that 413 grind. I'm Erik Stephen, and I ain't never leaving. Keep beating on my chest, left screaming till you see me with your beady little lies. Keep feeding me little lies until the day that I die. I'm on that 413 grind. I fell when I was weak, cause I fell to believe. Got it twisted like I'm French, je m'appelle Erik. Like Belle and the Beast, yo, there's beauty in me. I wasn't veiled to the king, and now he's jealous for me. Holy Spirit, move me, you're proving you improve me. You approve me, others forget they ever knew me. Who he? Who me? You ain't no newbie. I'll be dancing like Snoopy when I flood your newsfeed. Go! Use me tomorrow, you lead, I'll follow. Produce fruit with brute roots that's too huge to swallow. So call me in the womb, protecting me as I grew. You're my guardian like Rocket Raccoon. I am Groot. Boop boop be doop, yo, send out the truth. I'm living proof, you can use a recluse to spread your news. New shoes, a new suit, a new attitude. And I can use a scoop with super salt and pepper before we shoot. What a mighty good man, the lamb, he fills my cup. Call me a lush, cause 16 bars ain't enough. I'm in love, yo, this is nuts. That he sent his only son to elect me and accept me as I was. So I made the tough decision to follow in his mission. A Christian should be driven instead of sitting in remission. Grab the buddies and the misses, leave the money and the riches. I'm out to change the world, I just ask that you take a listen. I'm Erik Stephen, and I ain't never leaving. Keep beating on my chest, left screaming till you see me with your beady little lies. Keep feeding me little lies. I'm changing people's lives when I tell them Yeshua rise. I'm Erik Stephen, and I ain't never leaving. Keep beating on my chest, left screaming till you see me with your beady little lies. Keep feeding me little lies. I'm changing people's lives when I tell them Yeshua rise.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We're back. This is the Real Gospel Talk, and we're sitting down with Erik Stephen. We have Judy and Jay on the line. Erik is on the line with us as well. It's the 5:30 hour, half an hour into the show, and this is the Money Talk, financial moment with Judy. You have anything for us?
I'm just going to do the same. I'm going to start. I'm going to go through the Dave Ramsey 7 baby steps, and then like next week I'll just go through number 1 and go back through, because I got out of order because some things had happened and I wanted to, specify some things that need to get done, kind of thing. So the baby step number 1 is save up $1,000. Baby step 2 is list your debts from lowest to highest, and your house goes last. Actually, it's considered not mortgage. Leave the mortgage off. And then step 3 is once you pay off all your debts. Step 3 is to save up 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses, not your income, your expenses. And the steps 1, 2, and 3 are gazelle intense. That means you sell anything that you don't need. And Dave Ramsey says you sell everything, and the kids think they're next. And then basically, and you work as many jobs as you can just to get out of that debt. And then even to save up the 3 to 6 months, because that 3 to 6 months is it's your inflation-proof, your recession-proof. It's a whole lot different when we went into storm mode, when you kind of see the writing on the walls of our hospital the way it was. Now, we didn't know what was going to happen down the line, but, you could see things happening, and we went into what they call storm mode, which means you just put everything extra into savings. So when they called and said the hospital closed, I was like, oh, we're okay. Because we had 3 to 6 months saved up. Then step 4 is to be intentional, and what that means is step 4 is oh goodness, I'm drawing a blank. That's not good. 4, 5, and 6 is 4 is your retirement. 5 is your kids' college fund. And 6 is your mortgage. You pay off your mortgage. And the retirement you pay 15%. Match, if you have a match, you do that one first. If you don't have a match, then you want to do Roth. And then the third option is just a regular 401k. Because Roth, you pay after taxes, so that when you pull it out and all the growth and everything is tax deferred, because you already paid taxes on it. Then step 7 is to live and give generously, because at that point, maybe step 7, you're debt free, your house is paid off, and you owe nobody anything at all whatsoever. So those are the 7 baby steps to go for. No.
All right. Awesome. That one part that you said about if you start selling everything, then the children, I think they're next. I like that.
He says it so much more eloquently, because he says, then you get on and you start selling everything, and so the kids think they're next. Oh, he says it so much better than I do.
Well, you said it very well. It made me chuckle.
But it is amazing, because we just recently paid off some debt from a long time ago. The only debt we currently have that debt's debt, but we went through that rough period, and so that's no longer on our credit report, even though I printed it out years ago, and I kept it so I could pay things back. Our current debt, which is actively would be considered on our report, we only have our mortgage, and I have one medical bill that I've got like 10% left to pay. And then but then we just recently paid off 3 of our old debts from like 2010, which felt really nice. I think I said this before, where when I saw it clear the bank account, I grinned ear to ear, because it just felt like a major feat was taken care of. I'm no longer staring at it going, man, I wish I could afford to pay that. Man, I wish I could pay that. I wish I could pay that. And when I wrote that check and I did pay it, it felt great. So we're working our way through the baby step 2.
Man, I bet it did. That's wonderful, man. I'm proud of y'all. Definitely. Thank you for your financial information, and hopefully somebody's out there really listening. So, most definitely.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, the floor is yours, bro. Take it over.
The floor is mine. Oh boy. One thing I always like what Judy says with her financial piece stuff she has there. I said 8 years ago when we came to Galesburg, we had nothing, pretty much broke and homeless, and now 5 years after that, we became homeowners. So the diligence of following through with, God says do, you do. He told us to plant roots and get a house, and I kind of laughed at him, which is something we never want to do. But then woke me up one night, and we found our house. And, within 6 weeks of that time frame, basically we had the house. It's not the prettiest house on the block, but, it's ours. And just following those steps seem to get us to where we're at. So, I kind of stick by it. People say it's not a bunch of malarkey and da-da-da-da, but we're living proof of that. So it definitely can go through, and it's faith-based. It's like you make tithes and do it, in that aspect, give and live God's way. And, the sky's the limit. So I digress. I'll go back to the show topic. With Erik here, just recently we had when we were in Nashville for the objective, and I ran into Mr. Omega Sparks, and he seemed to be, not upset, but just like how surprised that I was able to meet him before you actually had a chance to meet him in person. And you've done tracks with him before, correct?
Right. I've known Omega for a few years now. And we've done some projects together. Yeah. But I've never actually met him in person. So.
As I mentioned, like, he was doing stuff that was kind of nerdcore stuff. I'm like, Erik Stephen? He goes, oh yeah, I know Erik. We've done some stuff. I was like, okay. But like, so you say you were at the objective that one time there for Extreme Tour, and so you kind of you do your ministry when you're traveling like the Extreme Tour concept, on faith-based, correct? Is it the same general blueprint
similar,
essentially?
Yeah, similar. Yeah, definitely.
So like recently, like you were setting up shop. I know you were like in Oklahoma at one point, and you just set up, like you said, 6 hours for each show. Do you ever have negative response to your music from people? Like when you go, do you go to a show and they're not really expecting to hear what you, like they didn't know you were that kind of music or something? Did you ever have that?
Well, I make Christian music, so of course I have a negative response to it. I mean, I'm sure I have. Nothing sticks out because it's like it doesn't affect me. It's like maybe it might affect me that night, but my God is bigger than that. So, and if they don't like what I'm doing, if they don't like my message, it's not my message. It's my Messiah's message, and so if they don't like it because of him, then cool.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's cool. I'm going to steal a page from Orlando's book. I'm going to ask an obscure question. You've probably been asked this question, though, before. But if you were going to be a superhero, what superhero would you be?
Listen, most people would say, oh, he'd pick Batman. But that would mean my parents were dead, and I don't want my parents to die. So we're not going to go with that one. Okay, if I could have living parents, yeah, Batman. But superpowers, if just straight up superpowers, I think it would be cool to fly. Yeah, I think that would be really cool.
Save on air travel.
Yes, definitely.
Because you do a lot of nerdcore and superhero type stuff, so you do a lot of Comic Cons and that kind of stuff. But one of them those songs that kind of sticks out was when you did I want to say it was 2020 with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I think it was, when you were at I'm guessing the KOA, and just did that video and the
pizza party?
Pizza party?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that video was improvising with what you had available. And I think that's one of the coolest videos. It was so simple. So your son's out there dancing with you. I'm assuming your wife was videoing.
Yeah, she was the one filming it. Yeah, she was the one filming it.
Yeah.
And then what was cool is that I had my son with me in that video, and he was just dancing along. Like, we didn't tell him what to do or anything. He was just mimicking everything that I was doing, dancing along, doing all the hand motions. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And then now, for some reason, my youngest son, that's the only video he likes to watch. Like, he comes on, he stops what he's doing. He's 8 months old. He stops what he's doing, and he starts watching. He just starts watching that video, and I think it's because it's got me and his older brother in it dancing. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the simplest videos overall. It's just shot with a cell phone, I'm guessing, and then just just simple, but it's a good video. Like you say, someone's dancing with it. And it shows not the simplicity of it, but just he's just enjoying the music and spending time with his dad doing the music. It's a good heartwarming video. That's why I do enjoy that one. Speaking of the videos, I'm going to ask here is, let everyone know how they can get a hold of your music, videos, social media, all that kind of stuff, how they get a hold of you or bring you out to their city.
I guess the easiest way to contact me would be email right now. It would be Erik, Erik Stephen, STEPHEN music@gmail.com. They could contact me there. They could message me on Facebook, Instagram, Erik Stephen Music, on all those things. Yeah.
Awesome. So basically, social media, and then they could bring you out to their city if they want. I mean, they still doing
if
shows.
They want to. If they're willing to pay for my travel expenses right now, because I'm sort of I'm Phoenix bound at the moment, so Phoenix grounded. So if they're willing to pay for my travel expenses, then I'm consider coming out to them. So yeah.
Awesome. Orlando, Judy, you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
You good?
No.
Okay.
No, I think I'm good. I guess I want to say one thing, and that is when you guys were talking about Erik, when you were talking about your pizza party video, when you said that that your son was kind of dancing and mimicking what you were doing, kind of hit me that as Christians we should be doing that as with God as our Father, mimic. Kind of, he wants us to kind of mimic what he does and mimic what he showed us to do. I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what Paul says. He says, follow me as I follow Christ. Imitate me as I imitate Christ. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, that's all I got.
Awesome. Orlando, do you have a track that we're going to close out with?
Yeah, we have Servant loaded up that we can close out with.
Just give a little. I appreciate you, Erik, for coming out on the show. Like I said, it's kind of last minute there. We appreciate that. Taking a Sunday evening out, or maybe it's afternoon, I guess, there for you, a couple hours behind. Then I'm going to hand this off to Orlando to introduce the closing song we have. And once again, we appreciate you all listening to the real gospel talk here on Blog Talk Radio. We appreciate it. And go ahead, Orlando, and introduce that closing song for us.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, with our special guest that we have Servant by Mr. Erik Stephen. So make sure y'all go check it out. Make sure y'all go support and run those numbers up. And the brother is really doing some awesome things for the kingdom and get him up out of that heat. Like he said before, it's triple digits. So get him up out of there. Alaska, we need you to call. Alaska, come on. But name of the joint is Servant, and we will catch y'all hopefully next week, or if not next week, the week after next. But we will catch you very soon. All right, peace.
it ain't over yet. It's time for my next set. Doing my best to connect the dead to the resurrect. That's correct, we're all zombies. Our insides are rotting until we answer his calling. Pieces will keep falling off, but you scoff and mock that you're lost. You talk a big talk and walk over the cross. But boss, you're mistaken if you're thinking you're escaping. I'm like me on the radio, I ain't playing, I'm just saying. Bless me, Father, each step is getting harder as I'm pressing through the slaughter, refreshing the living water. Lay my offer at the altar for my potter, for my author. As it's getting darker, help me stand out for your sons and daughters. Shine a light like Uncle Fester, bright like a professor. I walk in with my own theme music like I'm a wrestler. That's money in the bank, I get praise in my investor. Call me cold, cause the soul diamond's under pressure. When it's hard, I'm still believing. Got my eyes set on Jesus, he's the reason. Erik Stephen, heathen heart is even beating. He's the air that I'm breathing, his word's what I'm eating. He's my beginning and my ending, and like Jimmy, I need him. So teach me your instruction, keep me from the destruction. The easy road's constructed up, thievery, lies, and seduction. In the end, it leads to nothing. Lord, make my life something. Got me hustling and busting for your kingdom and second coming. I'm running these streets, loving your sheep with something to eat. I'll reach to all peeps, from the chic down to the geek. No matter the region, we're all products of Eden, and all who believe him are redeemed to his kingdom. So if you wanna be a free man, you gotta worship the Lamb. You can't fathom, he'll change your Adam into He-Man. But it's more than fables, he disables all the labels. Watch him like cable, my God's more powerful than Grayskull. I give him my worship, he crushed the head of the serpent. Even though I don't deserve it, Yah made me a servant. So I'ma work till he returns and turns the earth to a furnace and burns it on purpose. He's perfect, so I'm certain it's curtains. I give him my worship, he crushed the head of the serpent. Even though I don't deserve it, Yah made me his servant. So I'ma work till he returns and turns the earth to a furnace and burns it on purpose. He's perfect, so I'm certain it's curtains. Who do you serve?